The content of this program represents the opinions, research, and observation of the host and his assessment of scientific evidence available at this time. None of the statements, claims, techniques, dietary guidelines, or supplements mentioned in this program have been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The information contained herein is for educational purposes only. It is not a substitute for standard care provided by medical practitioners. Any application of the advice presented here is at the listener's own discretion or risk. The information should not be used for self-diagnosis or application. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional before beginning any new nutritional, exercise, or lifestyle improvement program. The host and this station disclaim any responsibility for any adverse effects arising from the use or application of information contained in this program. Now broadcasting from his Nutritional Command Center deep in the heart of Victoria, Texas, charging through the swamp of misconceptions, deception, and myths, bringing to you the newest cutting-edge scientific-based nutrition information so you can enjoy whole spectrum health. Here's the paladin of nutrition and whole foods expert, Labron Allen.
Welcome to this Saturday morning edition of Health Alert. I'm your host, Labron Allen. Thank you for tuning in. Well, this Saturday morning, we're going to be talking about some very interesting health news. The first thing is you remember, actually it's been over a year ago now, back in March of 2011, there was some dramatic environmental events that impacted the island of actually Japan, and specifically the Fukushima nuclear reactor situation, where at least 3 of those reactors ended up melting down and exposing a significant amount of radiation into the environment. Now, over the following months, we heard from different governmental agencies that there was no reason to be alarmed, that the amount of radiation that might come to the North American continent certainly was not going to be anywhere near the amount that would affect us. And if it was, don't forget that radiation is good for you. Now, what some of you may not realize is that as the months progressed from March 2011, and the amount of radiation that was being released from the nuclear reactors in Fukushima just continued to increase, that the amount of radiation that hit the west coast of the United States was ever increasing. Now, did you hear any warnings about that in the news? This is quite a health hazard, is it not? Is not radiation poisoning and the terrible effects of radiation very detrimental to your health? Well, of course it is. There's no doubt about that. But how did the government respond? Well, what the EPA did is increase the levels of radiation that they said was safe. What that allowed them to do was always say that the amount of radiation being released and hitting the west coast of the United States was always in the safe amount. There's no reason to be concerned. That radiation is good for you. It's still safe. It doesn't matter that your baby is glowing in the dark and growing a second head. That's good for them. The radiation is safe. Well, now it's a year later. And how long has it been since we've heard anything about Fukushima in the news? Well, it's been at least a year, hasn't it? Well, now there is a headline from the Independent Voter Network. It's called Godzilla, Fukushima Radiation Hits West Coast. And this is current. This is as of April the 17th, so just a few weeks ago. Now, the Journal of the Environmental Science and Technology released a report from a new study that the Fukushima radiation plume that contacted North America at California, listen to this now, guys, with the greatest exposure in Central and Southern California, and that Southern California seaweed tested over 500% higher for radioactive iodine 131 than anywhere else in the U.S. and Canada. So that's in California, 500% higher amounts of radioactive iodine isotope 131. The projected paths of the radioactive atmosphere plume emanating from the Fukushima reactors, best described as airborne particles or aerosols for the 131, 137 cesiums, and 35S, and subsequent atmospheric monitoring showed it coming in contact with the North American continent at California, with the greatest exposure in Central and Southern California. Government monitoring sites in Anaheim, which is Southern California, recorded peak airborne concentrations of iodine 131 at 1.9. Now, of course, there is some radioactive debris that is also continuously washing up on shore in the West Coast because a huge amount of radioactive debris entered the Japanese waters, and the flow eventually hits the Hawaiian Islands, and from there eventually into the West Coast. So it has been reported that this radioactive iodine, the iodine 131, is also being found in rainwater, not only in the western coast of California, but also as far inland as Mississippi. That's right. Iodine isotopes as far as Mississippi. There are a few reports that the amount of radioactive iodine is also increasing in certain foods, such as cow dairy and also beef meat. But remember, even a year later, although it's still showing up at least 500% higher, it's safe for you. No reason to be alarmed. Go back to sleep. Everything's all right. This is just another example where you need to be diligent in staying informed about what is happening within your environment. Because if we believe only what we hear on television or what we read on the internet, then we are going to continuously have our health in jeopardy. Next in the health news front is, you know how everything is going green, of course. It's good for the earth, right? Of course, a lot of the persons, the official people who push the green agenda, basically state that humans are the problem. Humans are like a virus that should be attacked and maybe even exterminated, who knows? But the earth needs to be saved because it's in such a horrible state. One way that they wish to save the earth is to get rid of the incandescent light bulbs that have been used for well over 100 years, possibly a couple of 100 years, and replace them with something that they, again, strongly state is good for the environment, which of course are the eco-friendly bulbs. Now, these eco-friendly bulbs are the small fluorescent light bulbs that have their own ballast that you are able to insert in the socket that would regularly fit an incandescent light bulb. And one of the reasons that they state that this is better for the earth is because it doesn't use as much electricity. Well, that part is true. If you have a 100-watt incandescent light bulb, it is drawing 100 watts of electricity. If you have a corresponding eco-friendly bulb, it is probably drawing around 23 watts of electricity. So there is some savings of electricity. But there is a gigantic drawback that you probably haven't been hearing about. What is that? Well, there are researchers who have found that these eco-friendly bulbs release harmful amounts of mercury. Now, guys, you have to understand that mercury is an incredibly toxic metal. It is not good for you. It is not good for your brain. It is not good for your baby, regardless of what the pediatrician says. As a side note, by the way, there are some pediatricians now who, when asked about the thimerosal, which is just another name for methylated mercury in vaccines, from concerned parents, say that, oh, well, studies have found that mercury is good for the neurological brain development of your baby. That is an out-and-out criminal lie. Methylated mercury destroys the nerves. If you're interested in actually watching how mercury, it just is astounding how it destroys nerves, the myelin sheathing and so forth of the nerve endings. You can go into YouTube, search mercury and nerves, and you will find a video of how mercury in real time destroys those nerve endings. You'll find it both shocking, frightening, and fascinating all at the same time. But continuing on about these eco-friendly bulbs, they found that the levels of toxic vapor, so this is aerolized mercury that you take up directly into your respiratory system, therefore into your blood supply, which from there can pass the blood-brain barrier and penetrate pretty much any tissue that it wants. So the levels of toxic vapor around smashed eco bulbs were up to, listen to this, 20 times higher than safe guidelines for the limit of an indoor area. 20 times higher than what is safe for the environment of an indoor area. Well, these are just wonderfully environmentally friendly, aren't they? That is completely ridiculous. Now, who is at higher risk? Well, of course, number one would be children. Number two would be pregnant women. So, children, babies, and pregnant women are going to be the first to have ill effects. However, anyone around that vapor will eventually have ill effects from it. And also realize that this toxic mercury, which is a heavy metal, this heavy metal vapor builds up in your tissues. It does not dissipate easily, if ever. And so with each subsequent exposure, your body starts getting more and more and more and more of this death-wielding toxic vapor. Well, that certainly sounds good for you, doesn't it? So, our next free health seminar that, again, we always have at the Hampton Inn on North Navarro, just before you get to the overpass, will be entitled The Critical Food for Strengthening Your Immune System. Now, did you know that there was one food that affected the body not only in the immune system, but also as far as your weight, controlling your weight, hormonal balance, cognitive function, which means your brain, guys. Cognitive function means your brain and how well it's working. Do you have short-term memory problems? Do you find yourself looking for words and trying to remember what you need to do next and what you've done beforehand, and walk into a room and you ask yourself, what the heck did I walk in here for? So that's cognitive function. And there's a food that not only affects that, but your immune system, your potential for heart disease, your potential for cancer, your potential for diabetes, autoimmune diseases. Did you know that there's one food that is a critical factor in all these things? Is it a superfood? Is it a new super berry that we need to go out and purchase and become a distributor of and distribute the world across the entire world and make everyone healthy and well? Well, I'm not going to tell you. The only way that you can learn what this critical food factor is, and by the way, this is not hype. This is true. This is very much researched and heavily referenced as to what this one critical food factor is. It's one type of food, all right? It's one food. It's not a broad category, but there is one food that you need to know about to help prevent against these diseases. That seminar will be this Tuesday, May the 8th, again at the Hampton Inn at 7 p.m. Everyone is welcome, and they are always free. How can you contact me? Well, several ways. The easiest way is radio comments at healthimprovementprograms.com. That is our Health Alert email, radio comments at healthimprovementprograms.com. If you would like to RSVP for our free health seminar, you can always call the front desk, and Tanya will help you sign up for that free health seminar. The office number is area code 361-575-4683. Again, area code 361-575-4683. Also, you can find out more information about all of these subjects that we talked about on the Health Alert program through our new Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/Health Alert Show. Like that page, and you'll have access to the direct links with all of the studies that we go over in the health news, along with different YouTube videos that we've produced with our free health seminars, and also the latest episodes of the Health Alert Show itself. You are free to share these Health Alert episodes with anyone you choose, along with any of our free health videos. If you would like a DVD, free DVD, of any of the free health presentations that we mention, then again, you can call up our front desk at the Natural Health Clinic, and Tanya will send you one free of charge. You only have to pay postage for media, and you can again call her at area code 361-575-4683. Another way that you can contact us is through our Natural Health Clinic Facebook page. You can reach that by going to www.facebook.com/natural.health.clinic. And like our page there, we have a huge spectrum of information on that page. Also, you can directly go to our YouTube channel and watch all the free videos that we have posted to that channel. You can subscribe to it. If you do that, you will know immediately when we upload more videos and or Health Alert Show episodes. It is free as well. In the YouTube search box, simply enter NutriDude, that is NutriDoc, that is NutriDoc 35. So NutriDoc 35. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. So this morning, we are going to talk about a subject that is on many people's minds. This is a subject in which they have likely endeavored for a period of time. They may have had some success, and then they lose it, and ultimately they become disillusioned as to their ability to actually see this goal of theirs to fruition. Now, what is the subject that I'm talking about? Making $1 million in your business? No, that's not the subject. The subject is about losing weight. How many of you listening need to lose weight? And if you need to lose weight, how much? 200 pounds? 100 pounds? 50 pounds? 10 pounds? 5 pounds? I do have some patients complaining about 5 pounds. That isn't much of a weight loss, and likely it's only water weight and not actual adipose or fat tissue. So why is it so difficult for most people to lose weight? That's a good question, isn't it? Well, with such a frank question, I think it deserves a frank answer. You may not like the answer, but here it is. Most people who have a problem losing weight do not ever truly make a choice to change their habits. Oh, they may change the routine for a period of time when they go on a quote-unquote diet. But you see, simply saying that you're going on a diet means that you are not really changing your habits and routines. It's something you're going to do for a while. Well, if that diet is successful in helping you lose the 20 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, 75 pounds, that's fantastic. However, once you are no longer on your diet, what's going to happen? You are going to gradually, or even quickly, gain that weight back, if not more. So the most critical factor of truly losing weight and maintaining your ideal weight is, guys, you. You are the critical factor. Not a super weight loss pill, not even the food you eat, although that is quite an important factor, if not the second most important factor. You are the most important factor to reaching your weight loss goals. You must choose, truly choose, that what you have done all the way up to this point in your past has not worked at all. If it has worked, you wouldn't be stiff, you wouldn't be sore, you wouldn't have any of the health symptoms you have, including weight loss or weight gain. So, again, if what you have done up to this point has worked for you, then you will not need the information that I'm giving to you. If what you have done has not worked for you, then you desperately need to choose right now, and it just simply is right now. You need to choose that you are ready. You're tired of dealing with this continuously for the previous decades of your life, that you want to take control of yourself. You want to grab yourself by the neck. You want to pummel your body, lead it as a slave, so that you can attain your goal. And it is simply a choice. It's truly that simple. It may not be easy, but it can be. It can be. Now, does that mean that you're always going to maintain that choice, meaning that you're never going to be tempted? Of course not. You're going to be tempted. And occasionally, you may fail. But you know what? Don't use that failure as an excuse to go back to your previously foolish and failure-ridden patterns and habits. That's what many do when they succumb to temptation of whatever that food is. They use it as an excuse to just eat whatever it is that they wish to eat. And they wind right back where they started from. That's sad. So, when you fall down, if you trip and fall when you're walking, or if you're hiking and you trip and fall, do you just stay there and say, well, I've fallen down, so I'm just going to stay here because, it's easier? Well, of course not. You jump right back up, you continue on your way. Why is this any different? That's all you do. You eat something you shouldn't have, you brush yourself off, and you continue forward, and you don't do it again. And those times of temptation will become less and less frequent because you are actually changing your habits. You're making your mind over. You're changing the way you used to think, the way you used to feel. You have the ability to do that. Do you realize that? The way you feel about anything is not due to someone else. It isn't someone else made you feel that way. Oh, that's what's said often, right? You made me angry. That person didn't make you angry. You made you angry. You chose to respond to whatever behavior that person was doing. Now, does it mean that your choice of responsive anger was unwarranted? Well, of course not. Sometimes it is very warranted. But one of the steps in truly changing the way you feel and the way you respond and your behavior is by understanding that you control it, taking that responsibility and not blaming it on someone else. If you continue to blame your behavior on someone else, whether it be your mate, your parents, the government, whatever it is, you will never be able to take control of your life and truly change. That's all there is to it. So again, the first factor to actually losing weight and maintaining that weight is you. Make the choice. Make it right now. You can make the choice in your car, if you're driving along, sitting in your easy chair, drinking that nice hot cup of coffee. You can choose. You say, okay, you know what? I am tired of it. I want to have the good health benefits of maintaining my weight in a healthy manner by eating the proper foods that my body requires and not just limiting portion size, which is not the way to lose weight. That is not necessarily the healthy thing that your body needs. If you're ready to do it, you can do it right in that chair. You can say, all right, now, in this cup of coffee, I put 2 teaspoons of sugar. In my next cup of coffee, I'm only going to put 1. And then your subsequent cups of coffee, use something else that isn't even sugar and won't impact your blood sugar handling system and therefore your weight, like stevia. Stevia is not artificial. Do not use artificial sweeteners, guys. That stuff is not healthy. Doesn't matter what you've heard before. It isn't healthy. You can easily find research that absolutely, irrefutably proves that it is quite unhealthy. And just because Splenda is coming out with a great big new marketing ploy of, do you have vitamins in your coffee? Well, now you can, because you can use Splenda, artificial sweetener with synthetic artificial B vitamins. Wow, that's healthy for you. I need some coal tar in my coffee because that's where those B vitamins come from. Coal tar, Kodak film finishing products. That stuff's good for you, just like radiation. So one thing also to realize about weight is that just because someone is thin, they are not healthy. In plain words, do not equate thin with health. Now, that's what you hear from your medical doctor. Oh, if you need to get healthy, you need to lose some weight. Lose some weight. High blood pressure, lose some weight. Diabetes, lose some weight. Heart disease, lose some weight. Depression, take an antidepressant, then lose some weight. Of course, the antidepressant increases your weight, so you're in a catch-22, sorry. But it's all in your mind. Lose some weight. Well, here's the thing. If weight loss and being thin truly equals health, then anorexics and heroin addicts should really be the most healthiest people in the entire world. You got that? Well, of course, that is completely untrue. They are not. And so, thin, not having a lot of body fat, is not necessarily equated with health at all. Thin people are not necessarily healthy. Now, thin people may actually have less toxicity within their body, which in that way they can be healthier, because one of the main ways that the body deals with toxins is by putting it into your adipose tissue, into your fat. So the heavier you are, the more toxins, the more toxic you are, and the harder your eliminatory systems have to deal with that. And the more congested they likely are, and the less optimally and function they likely are. That, by the way, is another critical factor in actually losing weight. Now, there are some very popular weight loss programs out, these nutritional, quote-unquote, nutritional programs, where you take shakes and you eat these little cubes if you get snacks and so forth, and people are losing weight with these things. However, that means now they're healthy because they've lost weight. Well, heroin addicts lose the weight. Does that mean they're healthy? Don't think so. No, indeed it doesn't. So if you look at a lot of these different programs, what they are is as at the basis portion control. So you're really cutting out a large amount of the food that you used to eat as far as how much. And They might give you some things that still contain sugar. Usually it's going to be fructose, which is a very bad sugar. People are getting way too much fructose. It is one of the leading causes of diabetes now, especially in the form of high fructose corn syrup. Just look in the back of these things, in the shakes and the little snacky things. It says fructose. That's why they're sweet. That's why people like them. Okay, but it's not healthy. A lot of people are allergic to fructose. Just shows up as bad blood sugar numbers. That's how it shows up. Doesn't mean that you're frothing at the mouth and watering of the eyes and sneezing all over the place. That's not the kind of allergy I'm talking about. I'm talking about health symptom allergies. Fructose is a very common one. They also, many of these new nutritional weight loss programs, they contain a lot of herbs that are designed to support your adrenals. Now, in and of themselves, these things are not bad. You may need them, you may not. How do you know? Well, how you know is to actually get your body tested through a nutrition response testing exam and find out if your body needs the herbs. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it needs some of them, maybe it doesn't need all of them. Maybe it needs a certain amount of dosage for the day. But that's why people start taking these different things, these different shakes, and they feel more energetic. Oh, wow, I'm healthy now, I'm energetic. Well, no. Simply your adrenal glands are being stimulated, and that may or may not be good for you. Basically, it's like drinking coffee or something that is stimulating to the body. It doesn't mean it's healthy at all. Because it may be forcing those glands to do something that they're exhausted, and forcing them to do more work when they're exhausted through stimulation of different herbs is certainly not healthy, is it? What happens when you continue stimulating a horse when they've been galloping for 65 miles and they're just about dead? Well, you're going to stimulate them into death. That's what you're going to do with that poor horse. Well, likewise with your adrenals, you can stimulate them into pure and utter exhaustion, and you've got yourself into a years-long cycle that will be difficult to break unless you do many things all at once. That isn't where you want to find yourself. So be careful of these different things. Remember that the most important aspect, the most important factor to your weight loss is you. Make the choice to truly do it. Change your habits, your patterns. So thank you for listening to this episode of Health Alert. Until next week, be healthy. Thanks for tuning in.